the news around the SEC lawsuit, still rallying here, still up 54%. And Solana as well has been a fantastic outperformer if you've been long Solana against Bitcoin in that sense. So everything that we're looking at here is versus Bitcoin, and it's not versus the dollar. So that's where we're seeing this, significant outperformance. But as we talked about last week, and I think the same thing we're kind of seeing here in equities and across risk assets, you just don't have much volatility at this point. For whatever the reason, we've got the Bitcoin IB rank at 5, right off of the lows, basically was 0 yesterday. Your low in there is about 40%. So 1,700 point move. And
honestly, I never thought we would see a 40% Bitcoin volatility.
Yeah.
Never.
Ever. I agree.
I never thought.
Not this soon.
Yeah. I couldn't even picture.
I mean, it was well over 100 is what we're talking about here, right?
Stays there.
We were doing research.
There.
We were doing research. Seriously, I remember Anton doing this piece, and he did this piece, and it was like, remember it was like 4 times. It was 4 to 1 to the S&Ps. Well, if you think about it, the S&Ps are about 10, so it's not that much different.
Right.
But it was always 4 to 1, and if it got to 3 to 1, it felt like it was like this
really
weird
contracted.
divergence and all this kind of stuff. But at 4 to 1, I was like, all right, but now it's at 40%. I just feel like So what does a new subscriber do when Bitcoin volatility goes under S&P volatility? Then how do you explain it?
Yeah, explain to me now.
Well, from a regulatory side, if you were, I'm just taking the discussion back to what's been troubling everybody. From an SEC perspective, how do you justify the whole security risk argument when you have $1 trillion plus asset that has a lower volatility than your largest stocks like Tesla?
Right.
It has basically the same volatility as Netflix. I'm just saying, what's the argument there?
Yeah, I think it's really tough then to argue that this is too risky for investors or it's too risky for people, right?
Yeah, 100%. How do you make that argument?
Yeah. What do you think is behind the overall decline? And this is on a trending basis. If we go back to the beginning of the year, you go back to last year, you continue to see these lower highs in vol. I think to the earlier point, I've got a chart up, not that we can put it on this screen, but on my PC here. You have Bitcoin vol, and this is implied vol, given the options markets in there, that, going back years can stay around 100, can stay around 150. And now we're at, 40%. What do you think's behind that? Is it just the evolution, the maturation of the asset class? Is it money coming into it? Is it that nobody cares here? What's happening? Or is it just reflection of summer, the same thing we're kind of seeing elsewhere?
I think that Bitcoin and ETH have found a resting place where they have what the marketplace considers to be relative fair value, and without any regulatory clarity everywhere else in the space, I just don't think they're, listen, it shows you need consumer interest. You need speculation. You need some form of emotion to move markets. And, in its current, where it currently is trading, and without, everybody knows the volume's dried up by 95%.
Right.
So the sellers are gone and the buyers have stepped away for now. So it's basically just a dead asset. It's almost like a piece of real estate, or almost like a piece of artwork or something. That's really what it is. There's just, like stocks like Nvidia.
So who has to die before Bitcoin can go back to 100,000?
Well, I don't think anybody has to die. Just you need some form of, you need something to go on. You need some excitement, some speculation. I think right now, it's just a piece of artwork hanging on the wall.
Well, I don't think you believe Bitcoin's actually dead. It's trading like it's dead.
No. I don't believe digital assets are dead at all, but they're trading like they're dead.
So what do you think the catalyst is here? Is it an ETF? Is it some sort of regulatory clarity?
No, it's regulatory clarity. It has to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what Bitcoin was created for, crypto was created for. It was supposed to be, at least in its early inception, that thing to avoid any type of regulation, that thing between two people that
but they just, what nobody realized was, or what nobody factored into the equation was that, everything's cool as long as it stays under the radar. And as soon as it gets above the radar,
as soon as it jumps the shark,
then all of a sudden it becomes somebody else's problem. And as soon as somebody loses money or whatever it is, it just, then it becomes a regulatory nightmare and quagmire in this situation. I don't know how it evolves from here, unless these blockchains themselves commit a lot of capital to cleaning up the regulatory mess. It seems like they've started. There's some bill in Congress that passed, yesterday, which is a start, but there's a lot more that has to be done.
We're going to lobby hard, Tom. I'm working on it.
You go get them.
Yeah. Well, that's
Go get him, Tiger.
You do have an asset that here seemingly has found a base. Obviously, it's going to trade in a pretty wide range. When we look at where the vol is, it still indicates, almost a $2,000 move on a weekly basis, at least in terms of one standard deviation. But we also know, as I think you pointed out on the show last week, that typically when you look at what happens with volatility in crypto, that volatility spike happens when there's an upside move, which is obviously a bit opposite than what we typically see in equities. So vol's at its lows. Price is basing. If this is just waiting on a catalyst, there's maybe an opportunity. For now, though, you're seeing a little bit of outperformance with some of the alts that had underperformed against Bitcoin for some time. That said, I want to talk about what we've been building. Maybe get you
Let's do it.
excited. So for anyone that's not familiar, as I've been on the show over the last, 12 or so weeks, we have been working on an application called tastycrypto. It's in a couple different forms. So it's a browser extension. It's also an Android and iOS app. And today it is available to download. It's got a handful of features that provide access to a lot of different things that you can do on a blockchain. So you can take self-custody of the assets that you own. That means you are the sole owner, the sole person in control. And you're able to transfer those assets so you can move around on both the Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains. You can see more information about some of those tokens that you hold. And you can also swap those tokens, which is key, at least in this space, as you start to see what's happening from a regulatory perspective, where a lot of centralized offerings, and this is a bit more decentralized in that sense, are really kind of whittling down the number of tokens that they offer. So you've seen, I think we've made the announcement, you've seen others in the space make the announcement that we just, for a variety of reasons, have gotten rid of some of the tokens. If you still want to participate, or you want to speculate, you want to invest, whatever the term is you want to use as it relates to this, you can do that on chain via swap. So you can do this in the application today. If you have ETH as the base currency, you can purchase any other token. That's an ERC20 token that's available on the Ethereum blockchain. This also supports NFTs and certainly the ability to send. So that's what's available today, which great. Standard stuff. We had to start somewhere. This is the foundation. If we jump to the next slide, I want to focus on a couple of the things that we're in the process of working on releasing next couple of weeks, going through some bugs, trying to get Apple to approve the app as well, which is usually a task. But some of the things that are coming soon, you'll have the ability to transfer cryptocurrency from the brokerage, and not here to speak on behalf of tastytrade, but this is what the development team has been working on. I don't think that's a secret. We've discussed it here on the show. You'll be able to log in, you'll be able to hit the API, and if you have cryptocurrency, you'll be able to move it. So you'll be able to do a little bit more with your crypto, which is what we set out to do. We're also really trying to, from a design perspective, help to put context around things that otherwise you really have to spend the time trying to understand on your own just to be able to use the app. I don't think that's a great user experience at all. And so at certain points in the journey, when you need important information, we're going to surface that. When you're looking to swap, it's great to know what the price of one token in dollars is. But when you're swapping two different cryptocurrencies, you need to see what that price is when you look at that ratio or that spread between the two of them. So starting to show some basic information like that. You'll have information and context around gas prices. So this is the network fee. We're looking at what is the average fee, and then where is the current fee relative to that? Is it high? Is it low? Is this the right time to maybe conduct that trade, or could you wait? Just again, trying to help people to understand more of what's happening on chain and to put context around this. And we also have the ability coming here in the next couple of weeks to connect to all of the applications and the protocols that we've been talking about on the show. I've had a fantastic time explaining some of the things that are going on in the DeFi space and how some of this works with you guys, but we haven't yet been able to connect the technology to that. And you'll soon be able to do that. So you'll start to see our content shift more towards here's how you create a pool on Uniswap, and here's how you can participate by using this application. And over time, we're going to make it a lot easier to do those things directly in the app. So not only will you be able to connect, you're going to have a great experience around that. We're going to remove a lot of the steps, because as bizarre as this statement might seem, there's terrible UX in crypto. No one has really solved for that. Everybody's working on it, and it's certainly going to get better. But right now, it's still very technical, and there's a high barrier to entry.
Not only is there terrible UX, but it actually, there's terrible functionality. Like, I mean, I know everybody wants to, I'm just surprised at the level of kind of, it's kind of crude to me.
Yeah,
like
in what sense?
Just that the crypto functionality I've seen, to me, seems very crude. It's so limited without derivatives. It's like it's so basic.
It's a one-trick pony.
It's right. It's so basic for just black and white technology. Like, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's weird.
Well, I think we're getting closer to where it won't feel so much like that, right? And one of the things that's maybe important to focus on, and even when we look at data that supports this, you're seeing a lot more activity move to Ethereum scaling solutions, to layer twos. So I think one that everybody's heard of is Polygon, but a couple others where you're starting to see the amount of assets that are deposited or locked, the total value locked on these chains, which would then really hint at there's more participation. Obviously, it's not the only thing, but it's a pretty important metric to look at. When you look at some of these layer twos, such as Optimism and Arbitrum, and they do have their own tokens, these are starting to experience significant growth. And this is really important because right now, if we think about derivatives trading, which I completely agree with you, and I also think is going to be a huge catalyst when we see, the next bull run clearly underway, you're going to see the derivatives growth in DeFi expand exponentially, in my opinion. But that's only possible if you have higher transaction throughput and lower fees. And on Ethereum, it's a great settlement layer, the Ethereum virtual machine, and as a security layer, it is fantastic. But the fees are expensive, and the throughput in terms of the number of transactions, it's not that high. So there's a lot of solutions for that. It's just that it's still so early, which has always been the theme here. You're just now, in the last year, starting to see the TVL on these layer twos and starting to see the activity and the applications being built on top of them really increase. I mean, in some cases, we've gone from 400 million in TVL, which again, tiny number in the grand scheme of things, but to Optimism, closer to 1.5 billion, 2 billion or so on Arbitrum. I think these are going to continue to grow. That's something that I'd look at from kind of a fundamental perspective. But as that all evolves, I think the experience is going to get a lot better. And it, at some point in the future, will be indistinguishable from the experiences that you have today with more centralized infrastructure.
The question is, will digital assets just be another product? Like, in other words, like, why does everything have to be so separate? Like, it's just going to be another asset class that we trade. Why is it any different from bonds? Or why is it any different from anything else? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I understand there's a different technology foundation, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, as somebody that I always talk about being an opportunist in the sense that we should be indifferent to product. So if we're indifferent to product, why do I care? The whole key is, why do I care? It's just, for me, it's just another trade. And if it doesn't support, a whole derivatives marketplace, if it doesn't support all this other stuff, why do I care? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, if it's the same thing as me buying like physical gold, fine, that's what it is. But
not that interesting to me either, right?
Right, it's not that interesting to me either. That's the whole thing.
Right. Well, I think in that case with Bitcoin, certainly, I think why you should care, why people care, is because there's this perception that there's a lot of potential upside there. But I think as a trader or a speculator, as someone that's interested in a lot of what we talk about here and watching Tasty Live, why I like to play the game is because it's fun. In my opinion, I like speculating. I like taking risk. I like seeing.
Yeah, but so is for some people. So is trading cars.
Absolutely.
So is artwork. Like for me, it's all trading is fun.
Absolutely.
And, again, I'm indifferent to where the opportunity comes from. The question is, should we be excited about digital? Like, why am I holding a portfolio of a bunch of different digital assets? I'm just trying to figure it all out. I don't really know.
Well, in some cases, it might, we might find that those tokens, some of those are worthless. Like, not all companies make it. But I think what those tokens represent and what they're working on in that sense is all of these new games that I suppose you could play. If you look at DeFi, specifically. And that's what I think is
That's
interesting.
the most
to
exciting
me.
part. It's just that
It's the new products.
it's the new technology and where that technology takes us, and how does that technology impact the other things, like, and has Bitcoin lost a little of its shine, or has digital asset technology lost its shine to AI? Can it recover? AI is already, whatever you want to say, but it's already, like, let's say 3 to 5 times the size of digital assets
Right.
in a very short period of time.
I think they're both going to grow exponentially. And
Okay.
I think we're still in the very beginning stages when you look at what's happening with blockchain technology. But I would ask you, when you think about, okay, digital assets, and is it all going to be just another product? Would the tokenized representation of a security, would you consider that a digital asset? Or do you think that we're at some point going to look back on this and kind of laugh at the terms that we use? Because today we've got to put context around it, but nobody's out there like, we're trading electronic stocks today, Tony.
Yeah,
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
So do you think at some point we'll get there and it'll just be the technology?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I actually hope so.
Yeah.
I kind of hope so.
I mean, it would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I guess I'm wrong about everything that we've talked about on here. But if
You're not wrong. You're early. We're always early. Right. We're never wrong. We're just early.
Well, it is early. This is what we've been working on. These are some of the things that are coming soon.
All right. So tell us, what do we got here?
So what we're looking at right here is just a couple of some of the basic things that we've certainly had a lot of inquiries around that people have been asking for. So as I mentioned, you're going to have the ability to transfer your assets in and out of the brokerage. You're going to have the ability to just see more information. We'll put context around data points. You see that with the ETH SHIB spread and the gas prices. And also, most importantly, you're going to be able to connect to decentralized applications, and we want to create a great experience around that. But if we jump to the next slide, this is what I start to get excited about when you think about the experience and kind of where we're going. So today, right now, we're only on 2 chains. We're on Ethereum and Bitcoin. We have been working over the last month. Our development team has been focused on adding more networks.
Okay.
Because we'll have those scaling solutions. You'll have access to connect to Optimism, to Arbitrum, to Solana, and you'll be able to participate in all the activities there that maybe to some extent, the Ethereum blockchain just isn't conducive to on the layer 1.
That's cool.
So beyond that, lots of different things that we can do from there once you're on these other networks. We're also really focused on the experience. So you'll have an application that not only gives you the self-custody of your digital assets, lets you store NFTs, send and receive them, connect to applications, do all these things in DeFi. We also want to create the best crypto trading or investing experience. And again, focus on simplistic design, but giving you the tools to drill down and get more information if you need that information. Not everybody needs the most powerful application, but it should be there at your fingertips if you are a power user. And so what we're trying to do is create this concept of a bunch of different widgets. So as you scroll down and you look at the information, you're not just seeing the market cap of a token or where it ranks relative to others in the space. You're able to really put context around that. All of these tokens have realized volatility, obviously. Some have implied volatility given the options markets that exist. Why not look at this in similar ways that we look at all other assets? Mm-hmm. Why not make it feel a bit more familiar to the traditional investor? And so we've got a ton of things that are coming in here that I'm super excited about. You're going to be able to, in addition to what's up here on the screen, you'll not only be able to compare tokens and look at their performance and look at some on-chain metrics, but you'll be able to really dig into the fundamentals around these blockchains and these protocols as well. So in the same way that you might look at Microsoft earnings per share versus Apple to try to determine whether, I don't know if any of that matters, but whether you like one or the other, you'll be able to look at similar data points as it relates to these tokens. And this is coming in the next couple of months. And this is just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. There's many other things that we're working on that are maybe more exciting than this, but wanted to just show everybody where this is going. And if they haven't had a chance.
It looks really cool. I mean, the dev work on here is great.
Oh, our dev team is fantastic. Our designers are fantastic. Everybody has been working really hard on this.
Yeah, the dev stuff is beautiful. This is really one of the nicest, wallets and functionality I've seen anywhere.
Yeah, we're trying to just, marry it all together where you can't, in my view, going forward, just treat crypto or trading assets on a blockchain as if it's a checking account. You can't just have a balance. You need more information.
Just think about how cool this is going to be when we integrate this with everything. Like, look at Tony. If he pulls out his wallet right now, it's like this big pile of stuff. Remember the wallet from Seinfeld where George Costanza had the wallet? It was like this big, stuck in his pocket. You know, it all that. This is the future of what a wallet's
I
going
don't
to
have a wallet. I have less than that. I just have it wrapped
Kind
around
of you and
my
me are the only
credit
two
card.
people that just carry cash in our pocket with
Wrapped around
credit
credit
cards. That's it.
Hey, that works though. That works. But yeah, what I'm really excited about, the last thing.
It works for the wackadoodles like us.
Yeah. Hey, the last thing though, before we wrap things up, what I'm really excited about is, the direction that we could go as well, where once you're able to log into the API, now you have everything kind of all in one place. You could have your crypto-related derivatives trading that you have access to through the brokerage today, but you could also have your on-chain capabilities, your NFTs, your digital collectibles, and all of the things that come around or along with that in terms of what the technology enables in a single application that is still underneath the family or kind of the Tasty umbrella, but is that crypto-native kind of trading, investing, DeFi app all in one place. So that's what we're working on, and if everyone hasn't had a chance to take a look yet or check it out, you can download it on the iOS and Android app stores. You can also get it as a Chrome browser extension. I will mention that we're working with Apple to get our most recent update released.
Awesome.
But it's that version's live in Google. And one more slide just to pump the brand a bit more. If anybody wants to follow us on Twitter or join our Discord, we've got a bit of a community we're building. There's a couple hundred people in the Discord, and we're really trying to focus on that as a platform for all things crypto.
Nice.
Doing content in there.
You're not allowed to use that Twitter thing anymore.
Oh, it's going to be the X. That's right.
Yeah.
It is the X.
It is. Yeah.
It is. It is. Not gonna. It is.
Well, whatever that platform's called, X, follow us there at tastycrypto.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Very good. We'll take a quick 90-second break and come back. We've got more Tasty Live with a market measure next. This is Tasty Live.